Welcome to CivilNet, the first ever guidebook to Western Armenia that sort of maps out the historical and cultural monuments of Western Armenia is just now at press and will be published shortly. And the author of that book is lawyer, photographer, writer Matthew Karanian, who is joining us now from the United States. Matthew, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, my pleasure.
This isn't your first book, right? You've also published.
It's not the first book that I've published, but I think in many ways it's the most important book that I've published because it is the first guide to the cultural and historic sites of our homeland in Western Armenia.
Yeah, and now that we are in the centenary year of the Armenian genocide, it is so important that these kinds of initiatives, these kinds of books are being published. The title of the book is Historic Armenia After 100 Years, Ani, Gars, and Western Armenia. Before talking about the book, the actual book, talk to me about the journey. Why was it important for you to do this?
Well, this has been a very, very long journey. I first traveled to Western Armenia back in 1997, and going there was not an easy decision. All my life, I had been very, very wary about ever supporting what is now Eastern Turkey by traveling there. And so it was a very difficult decision for me to actually travel there. And after I did go, and I went to Sivan and Ani and Kars, I realized that we had a homeland here that was being neglected, that we had so many historic sites that were falling into ruins and that were being destroyed. And I came to the conclusion that a lot of the destruction and a lot of the vandalism was occurring because of our absence, and that it might not have occurred if we had been there. And I began to think at that point that perhaps we needed to shed more light on this part of our homeland.
Yeah, I think I think you put it so beautifully, that it is a birthright, it is where we come from, it is where our roots are, and the fact that we don't want to go and see it. I think that for those of us who have been to Western Armenia and have seen those monuments, have sort of walked upon the shadows of our ancestors, it makes you realize that you do have a right to be there. So how long did it take you? Because this book it's not just stories; it's actual photographs. It's an illustrated book, and I was looking at some of the previews, and it's just some stunning photographs and explanations of where you had gone. How was that? I mean, you actually went yourself. You did the research. You took the photographs. How difficult was that to compile, and how do you decide what to keep and what to portray?
Well, writing about and covering Western Armenia is a world of difference from writing about the Republic of Armenia. Traveling in the Republic of Armenia, of course, everyone welcomes you. You know what to expect, and travel is very, very easy. In Western Armenia, it's quite different. We're in what is now a foreign country, even though it's our homeland. There's a language barrier, and there's also people who are not always welcoming. So this was a trip that I didn't take readily, a journey that I didn't take very readily, and it required many trips, and it required a good deal of collaboration with other people. And what I found was that even after 4 trips to Western Armenia, 4 research trips, I'm still really only scratching the surface. This is a very vast homeland that we have, that has been covered up, that has been allowed to decay. And there's so much more there than even I have uncovered in my trips and in my book.
When is the book, when will the book actually be available to readers?
The publication date is February 15. We are on press right now, and will be available on February 15 to everyone.
And I believe that behind you there's a poster that...
that's an actual press sheet. If you look just past my head there, that's an actual press sheet of the cover of the book. We are literally on press right now.
Yeah, it sounds very exciting for you. Just a final question. Where do you plan on being for April 24?
Well, I would like to be where everything started, where the journey really began, which would be Istanbul.
And where are your ancestors from, Matthew?
Well, this is part of what was some of the impetus for the book. All four of my grandparents are from Western Armenia, and my two grandmothers both survived the death marches. They both survived deportation, one from Marzavan and the other one from Zara in Sepasja. And so I have dedicated this book to my two grandmothers as two survivors who have participated in the rebuilding of the Armenian nation.
Well, Matthew, thank you so much. Thank you, first of all, for sort of documenting all that we have lost and all that we need to come to grips with. Congratulations on the book. Much success with the book. I'm sure that this year will be a very, very busy year for you, for all of us as Armenians, but you especially, to promote your book, to bring it to a wider audience, and hopefully not only to Armenian communities in North America and in Europe, but to a global audience as well.
That's my intention. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to remind our viewers that my guest was Matthew Karanian. He is a lawyer, photographer, a writer, author, and his latest book, Historic Armenia After 100 Years, Ani, Gars, and Western Armenia, will be published shortly. Stay with CivilNet.